Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. I'm so glad you're all here, and thank you for your patience. I know it took a little bit long, but I guess you had a lot of people hungry out there. I hope you're enjoying the refreshments, and I'm so glad to see that so many people are interested in career opportunities in accounting and finance. So we got some great speakers today. But before I introduce you to them, just a couple of announcements. This is our first meeting for the semester. My name is Professor Kasamanakis. I almost forgot to say who I was. I'm the faculty coordinator, and I also teach the accounting courses here. I'm a professor for the business department. And just wanted to make just a couple of announcements before we begin, because I know you're anxiously awaiting to hear what our speakers have to say. We have our Business Society website. I hope you can see it on the board. So you can get information about our organization if you heard about it for the first time. And that website will tell you our upcoming events and to reserve for them. And we also have 2 more events coming up. We usually have our meetings on a monthly basis. So this is our first one, as I said. And the second one we will have in March. And all this information is in the site, on the Business Society website, but just to kind of give you a heads up. Our next meeting is on March the 20th, Ethics in the Classroom and Workplace. And then the last one is on April the 24th, Email Etiquette. So again, you can just go into the site and you'll get more detailed information. It's going to be at the same place, same time. Of course, different dates. So we hope that you can attend. There are very interesting topics. So hopefully you'll make some time to come. All right, so let's get started. And I want to introduce you first to our number 1 speaker, or our first speaker. His name is Professor Morallo, and he has spoke for our organization in the past, and we liked him so much that we invited him again. He teaches the accounting classes, and he also teaches the tax classes here at Queensborough. And he has quite an extensive resume, so I'm going to highlight some of them. He is a certified public accountant. He's also a certified mortgage broker. He has his own accounting practice. And like I said, he lectures a lot around campus. So here he is, Professor Ben Morallo. Okay? All right. Okay. Yeah, so that's our first speaker. Let me introduce you to the other ones, and then we can get started. And we also have 2 speakers from Greystone Staffing Employment Agency, which is located in Melville, Long Island. And one of our speakers is Victor Rodriguez. If you can just raise your hand, and he'll speak later. And okay, you can clap. He began his recruiting career in Southwest Florida. Boy, I wish I was there right now. I heard the weather there is so beautiful. So anyway, so he's back here again in New York, and he also has an extensive resume. He has 7 years experience recruiting accounting and finance personnel. He has 10 years experience in retail investment and risk management, and he also has 20 years experience in sales, so I'm sure he has a lot to tell you. So he will be talking to you later. And also we have Robert. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. Can I just say Robert G? Yes. Okay, Robert G. Play it safe, right? He's also associated with Greystone Staffing Employment, and he has 12 years experience in recruiting all levels of finance, accounting, sales, IT positions. And he also has extensive experience in assisting people in writing their resumes and helping them with interview preparation. And he also has experience in sales and owns a distribution company for over 6 years. So, all right, so now I want to turn the mic over to our first speaker, Ben Morallo. So let's give him a hand of applause for taking the time to speak with you guys today.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Thank you all for coming on this rainy day. It looks pretty good. I'm pretty impressed at how many people here. Although all of you are in my class, that's another story. And I told you you'd get 5 points, but all kidding aside. Anyway, before I begin, I just wanted to thank Professor Kasamanakis for having me speak. And I'm honored to have Victor and Robert here today. And I'm looking forward to hearing them speak. And thank you to Greystone for taking the time and presenting to the class. I just wanted to add a couple of things. Victor himself has a 2-year degree. Correct me if I'm wrong. And he's maneuvered through the workplace, as you could see, his extensive experience, and I think he really can empathize for you, although it was a little earlier, kind of a little after me probably, but in years, it's still the same thing, and some of the challenges will be similar, I'm assuming, and I look forward to hearing about that. Anyway, you all ready to go? I'm going to talk a little bit about this, and I'm going to use the PowerPoint as a guide only. So what I wanted to tell you is you're all caught in a trap. You graduate here, you now have experience or education, and you want to get a job, and what they're asking you is, how much experience do you have? And guess what? Most of you, none. So it is critical for you while you're here to do things to better your resume. And you need to do things, not just the school. You need to do things like an internship, even if it's non-paid. You need to do volunteer work. You need to get out there. We have things at the school to help you do that, many things, and you should take advantage of them while you're here. Now, Queensborough students, this is a commuter school, so we are involved with some obvious problems. Many of you already have jobs and lives outside of this. You come here, do your thing, go home, and do whatever you have to do there. So it's not like you're living on campus and we have all this time available. And we really do understand that, and we try to help you make that work. But I wanted to say that, so now when you go and you try to get a job, how do you get all this together? I mean, we need to know, before you go forward, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? I want to define two aspects of accounting: public and private accounting. I'm just going to define them. Does anybody know what public accounting is? Anybody want to explain that to us? Yes, young lady.
Public accounting is basically when you're certified by you take an exam, you get certification that you can publicly practice accounting, and you also get certified by the state that you practice.
Exactly. What she's saying is you get licensed by New York State, if you're in New York, or any of the 50 states, as a certified public accountant, and then you do work for companies as preparing financial statements, audits. Sometimes we give management, consulting services, and things like that. So that's public accounting. I have a definition in here, but I'm not really going to use it. What I really wanted to jump to is private accounting. Anybody want to take a shot at private? What it is? All right, that's working within the company. You could be an internal auditor. You could be a controller. I happen to have experience in both. I was first, as a CPA, an auditor in a CPA firm. And I did financial audits, inventory counts, and other fine stuff, a lot of traveling. It required a lot of flexibility. And in order for you to get your job today, you really must be flexible. You need to understand that you're starting out in a career, and whatever it takes, you have to do. And I did that. I was in Gloversville, New York, on June 30th doing an interview, inventory count. And it's not the fanciest place. Indianapolis, Indiana, counting record covers when they used to have the vinyl records and other things. So I don't necessarily want you to limit yourself and say, oh, I can't do that. Some of you might have to, but the better chance is obviously to get a job if you are flexible. What else I wanted to talk about? In private, I was auditing a company, and the place I was auditing asked me to work for them. Well, anyway, after going back and forth a few times, I was hired as the controller. And slowly but surely, after about 5 years, I became the CFO, the Chief Financial Officer of Dale Mortgage Bankers Corp., which is basically not around anymore. But it was a mortgage company. So through the auditing, which gave me experience in stock brokerages, inventory, or I should say other retail companies, and other industries, I chose to go towards the real estate. So this opened up my world and helped me to pick where I wanted to go. And I chose, I was fortunate to get offered this job, and I took it. And there, as a management accountant, I reported to the president and the treasurer and the board of directors. And what I did is explain to them the financials. I put together a little spreadsheet, monthly, quarterly, annually, and we discussed management. And through time, as the CFO, I became as knowledgeable as the CEO and moved on to a more public company, a bank, as the CFO of their mortgage division. So in the end, all of this is hard work. There's no shortcuts. So I need you to deal with that. Okay, I have a couple of videos. I'll go back to them. A couple of things, getting back to getting your job. I said volunteering. You have to network. I want you to make sure you understand networking is doing volunteer. If you're in the Fed Challenge, I'm a faculty advisor here, and knowing me and other professors, Professor Hansen, or the mock trial, Professor Rosen, Professors Hamill, Ford, you get personalized attention from these professors, and sometimes we have openings and you never know. Again, obviously, at a minimum, you'll get a recommendation. So please consider that. Here it says stay focused. I know you all want to do that. What I wanted to say is specialization. At the school, we have a forensic program, which is tied into John Jay College. So you come here, you take accounting, and you automatically go to John Jay, and you have a specific, I'll call it, intensive focus on forensic accounting. And I'm not going to get into it, but today's specialization helps you. The more things you have specific to the job helps you to get that. Now, I'm talking a lot about doing things and planning and what do I need to do to get ahead. What is required of you right now is a plan. You need to sit down, and I always use the Russian thing back when I was in college in economics. They had something called the 5-year plan. I kind of worked off of that and said maybe you need a 1-year plan and a 5-year plan. And the 5-year plan, I remember I went on a job interview, and the gentleman who interviewed me asked me, where do you want to be in 5 years? Well, I'm going to put that on you. What do you want to be doing in 5 years? You better enjoy it, because you're going to be doing it more than you're going to be with your family or anybody else. You'll be doing it at a minimum 8 hours a day. If you include commuting and other things, it can go much higher and extra time. So I need you to please understand that too. Oops. This thing keeps coming on. One of the ways I did the plan is I pulled out this Robert Half guide, and you might want to do that. On the Robert Half guide, it gives you what are the salaries for different jobs there are. And maybe some of you, money is a focus and an issue, and you might want to say, what is the potential for a specific arena? So in this, I'm trying to open it up. Please bear with me. See how it works. In this guide, it shows you different jobs and what you earn in 2013. It's online. Just type in Robert Half Salary Guide. I'm not really, it doesn't look like it's saying the performance is slow. Sorry. Trying to get it up. But anyway, in the meantime, while that's working, hopefully it comes up. We'll see how that goes. It's important for you, as part of your plan, to see how much is my earning potential. Because I talk with people. Just the other day, somebody came to me and said, I'm upset. I'm the accounts receivable clerk for a company, and I feel I'm underpaid. I haven't had a raise in 4 years, and I said to her, well, I think you're pretty lucky. First, you have a job. Second, she said, I get a bonus based on merit, and the highest merit bonus you can get is 4 weeks' salary in one check, which I thought was pretty good. I said, that too is good. Then I talked about, look, you're an accounts receivable clerk, you're not going to be making $150,000 doing that. It's just not economically feasible for a company to pay you that much. There is a high to the amount you can make, and then after you reach that high, you would get what we call COLA, or cost of living adjustments. And right now, that's really minimal, like 1 or 2% is my guess. So part of your plan, you need to account for that, and that's why I'm saying look at the jobs. Oh, I think that's not going to work, so I'm just going to end this. Anyway, anybody have any questions about that and thoughts that I may have put up there? Oh. Yes? Well, I don't know, but I would say to you, she asked, what's the highest salary for an accounts receivable clerk? I believe $68,000, only because I talked to this young lady just last night. And she said she did that research, and she makes about $20,000, $25,000 less. But that's her base salary. The bonuses and everything, it does move up. The size of the company is a factor. She asked if it depends on the type of company, and I responded size. If it's IBM, it's a little different than working for me, obviously. So I have four accounts receivable, and they may have millions. No, all kidding aside, I'm trying to get this right. Hopefully this, good. Well, looks like I lost that. If anybody can help me, let me know. I'm going to wing it now. Other things you need to do. You're going to be going on interviews, job interviews, and the first thing I want to talk about is how to handle yourself when you get the career on the interview. My experience, I found I have a responsibility to ask questions to the potential employer as much as they have questions to ask about me. And after doing a couple of them, I found I was doing much better when I got more relaxed when I asked them questions about benefits and other things. But one of the things I did ask the company I was being interviewed, I remember it was in the Empire State Building, and it was 1982. Actually, I have a very good memory. And he had on his desk a little piece of paper. It was a CPA firm, something about a straddle. I knew nothing about what a straddle is. So I said, what is a straddle? Well, anyway, this person spent 15 to 20 minutes explaining to me what a straddle is. Honestly, I don't remember, but it's a pretty complicated item, and for some reason, I developed a rapport with this man. And he really wanted me to work for him. Now, I happened to have, after this interview, gone on a 2-week vacation with 2 of my buddies, and we were driving to the World's Fair in Knoxville, Tennessee in 1982. And I was getting calls, at least 3 calls from this gentleman to work for him. So I can only say that, from my experience, that maybe you should consider that, because it's you have to be comfortable speaking. And very often when you're in the seat, and you know, it's like the light is on you, you kind of get nervous. And sometimes to undo that, you might want to ask a question to give you a little bit of time to get familiar with your surroundings. Because you're going to walk into an office you've never been in before. You know what I mean? So please do that for yourself as well. The other thing I want to talk about is the internet. Right now, the internet is a great venue for you to get yourself out there about who you are and what you can do. But also it could be as good as it is as bad. And specifically, I'm thinking of social networking. It is your responsibility to be careful of how you represent yourself on the social network, because it's very easy for a potential employer to look you up and see what you're doing. Do you think it's a good idea to have you holding a beer going like this, chugging? No? Yes? Yes. Depends. If you're working for a beer company, perhaps. But not, for the most part, no. And there are stories out there of things that have happened not so good in that area. Now, on the same token, there are other places, and I wanted to talk about ePortfolio. We have ePortfolio, which I've been hearing raves about creating your own personalized, I'll call it resume, but like your best work in college. So if you got an excellent paper you wrote, you would put that in there, certain awards you've won, and you would keep it's one-stop shopping. Everything is there. And I know in the nursing department, they have been sending out these e-portfolios to potential employers and really been getting very, very positive results. Now, I'm a little old school. I have a red binder, and everything that I've gotten through the years, I just bring this binder and I say, here you go. And it may be an article I've written or something, if you published or something, and that's another way to network, is to publish. Thank you. The other thing I was thinking about in my experience that has been the best thing, I'm here because of it, is volunteer work. I'm a big proponent. Most of the things that you get the best feeling about yourself from is when you do things to help others. And when you do that, it often manifests into something quite positive in your own career. Back in the late 70s, when I was at Queens College, those of you that don't know, I went there. I'm from Flushing, Queens. I went to work for community tax aid in Corona, New York. And what I did was volunteer. I prepared taxes for people that couldn't afford to pay for it every Saturday during tax season. And I have to tell you, the experience helped me greatly in the, in my jobs, because then when I went to go do taxes, well, guess what? I actually had seen a 1040 before. I didn't just talk about it in a classroom setting, if you know what I'm saying. So volunteer work is very critical. I also helped teach religion. I've coached track, and I wound up getting a job as a track coach. I wound up teaching. Now I'm teaching, and it's my job. And all I'm trying to tell you is you have to make time for these things. And when you put this on your resume, I can assure you it will really, really help you. Getting back to volunteer, I consider something like the Fed Challenge or the mock trial something of that sort. And when people from the outside world see you, we had a Flushing Bank's chief investment officer act as a judge or watch the Fed Challenge. And he said, I would hire any one of you to our students 2 years ago. And I think you can't get a better compliment to that. I would have pulled out my resume and said, here you go, can I get a job? All right, well, I've been serious through this, and I think it's important for you to understand those are requirements, but some people take it and say to themselves, hey, maybe I could do something else, and let's see what I can put together here. I wanted to, I'm changing. Did anybody here ever see TED.com? It's a great site for listening to people like Steve Jobs or coaches and other people. There are a couple of stories I've listened to, and I recommend it to give you insights into things, but that's not exactly. This was in my PowerPoint, so I'm going to have to kind of look it up right in front of you. So please bear with me. This is called ad-libbing. So what I wanted to say is you could have a plan in another way. You can hope you win lotto and don't have to look for a job. Or you could, this isn't really working, so I'm sorry. Say I'm going to go to college and meet somebody wealthy and maybe marry a rich person. I married my dentist's daughter, but she had 6 siblings, so everything they have is being split 6 ways. I didn't think about the only child. So I blew it. I'm only kidding. But anyway, all kidding aside, you need to take a little bit of a light perspective on this because it's not easy forge ahead and do things. Anyway, I'm going to try to fix the computer, and would you guys, gentlemen, like to come up and talk for a minute? And I'm going to ask Victor if he would. And at the end, I'm going to come back and talk to you about some other questions and entertain other things. Thank you all, okay?
How's everybody doing? Is this working here?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know what they told you to get you all to come down here to listen to us from Greystone out on Long Island to come out, but I brought a couple of props along with me. I have some sunglasses, some wigs. If anybody's interested in staying after, we can do a Harlem Shake video, and maybe we can get an extra 5 points out of the professor here. Maybe we could start off with him. So, you know, when we were first asked to come out and talk to you about what's going on in the job market and what's going on in accounting and finance and what our backgrounds are, me and Robert were talking about different things and different ideas and what we can discuss with you. And what's so relevant for me is I come from a background of a 2-year degree. And to kind of start off, I think that's something that's really relevant to everybody here because of the challenges I went through and the different opportunities that I saw that I felt like I was qualified for, felt like I was smart enough for, felt like I could present really well and get the job. And a lot of the times when I sent my resume in or I applied or even had my interview, it came back that, oh, I'm sorry, but we require a 4-year degree for this position. And that affects you in so many different ways because when you look at the responsibilities, you say, well, I know how to do all these things. You know, maybe I even had done it at a different company. So, you know, for me, that was a big thing. So I don't know what everybody's plans are beyond a 2-year degree, but I think it's really important if you have aspirations to move up through companies, you know, really focusing on getting that 4-year degree is so important because it held me back for a long time and it really eliminated a lot of opportunities that I could have had. So I just wanted to touch on that because it was something that was important, and that was one of the real reasons and the main reasons why I wanted to come here and speak with everybody. So in our conversation, me and Robert, and as we were putting together and I use this term loosely, a presentation for you, and what we could talk about, some of the things that we see that are very important to hiring managers. I don't know if does everybody know what recruiters do? Everybody knows what headhunters are? Yes, no? Well, basically what we do is we try to marry the best candidates for a position with companies looking to fill positions. So we have clients and companies that may need an internal audit manager or a tax manager or an accounts receivables clerk, and they say, well, these are the requirements, this is what we're looking for, now go find them. And we have so many different sources in which we can do that, so networking is a big part of what we do as well. But our job is really to find the best available for our client, and then they pay us to do that. That's basically what we do. So in doing that, we get a really good gauge as to what these companies are looking for and what types of backgrounds and education and involvement, whether it's community service or volunteer work or their education or their past job history. And we found a lot of things in common with a lot of the hiring managers that we deal with. And we deal with human resources, and we deal with controllers and CFOs and company owners and a lot of different people. But one thing that keeps coming back is when we're looking for a candidate is we go to a lot of the same sources constantly. And a lot of what we see is it's a lot about who you know and who your network is. And you're not going to see all the opportunities available if you have a very small network. And if you're just depending on job boards just to find your opportunities, that's going to limit that. So the first thing I wanted to talk about today is LinkedIn. How many people here have a LinkedIn account? How many never heard of LinkedIn before ever? Okay, well, it's important. LinkedIn, it's LINKED, LinkedIn.com. And what LinkedIn is, it's almost like a business social network. If you look at it like Facebook for networking connections. And what what it is it's an environment or an online community where you can connect with business people. You can connect with CEOs of companies. You can connect with accounts receivable managers. And setting up a LinkedIn account is so important. And the sooner you do that, and if you have it, I'm going to give you some ideas as to what the information you can put on your LinkedIn account. It's not like Facebook where you have a wall and you're posting pictures and all that, or like Twitter or Instagram or all these other social networking sites. It really is for business. You can do a status update. And for students, I think some important things are in your status updates. If you're looking for internships, you can put that out. Maybe you just got your degree, you're looking for an opportunity, you can put that out. And that comes up on people's feeds. And you can connect with almost anybody. And by doing that, it really starts to give you that exposure, because whether you're a finance major or an accounting major or a business major, or maybe you're focusing on healthcare, whatever your focus is, you still need to be a salesperson. You need to be able to sell yourself, and you need to network and get yourself out there. It's so important. So some of the things you can do when you set up your LinkedIn profile is talk about where you went to high school or where you go to college, what you're focusing on. Talk about your community service or things where you volunteered, extracurricular activities, sports you played, teams you coached, your involvement in your religious background. These things are so important. And then as you're reaching out and connecting with people, if accounts receivable, and maybe that's where you want to get your foot in the door in a company, reach out to some accounts receivable managers in companies that you're familiar with and get yourself that introduction. Because it's different with LinkedIn. It's not like Facebook where, well, I'm not going to just friend request somebody who has no idea who I am. With LinkedIn, that's kind of the idea, is to connect with somebody. You can actually write them a little note, and then you can start to drip on them. You know, every couple of weeks, send them something about you, maybe something that you accomplished. Maybe you can see some of the things they're involved in and do a little research, and maybe, you know, if you see an article, you know, send an article to them. You know, so that LinkedIn gives you those types of opportunities and gets you in front of a lot of the right people, especially now, before you're ready to go out there and search. Now you're on their radar, and then you can stay on their radar by constantly doing this type of drip. You can send them messages, you can send them links, you can just, you know, start conversations. And then also to kind of further expand that, just like Facebook, there's business groups on LinkedIn. There's human resources groups of Queens or Nassau County or Kings County. And you can go in and join these groups. And now you have an entire database of human resources managers and named, and you have a direct link right into their email, where you don't have to go researching online and sending a resume to resumes at whatever company you're trying to get into. You can find them right on LinkedIn, and you can start a relationship. So that's one thing that I find very useful with LinkedIn. And when we're looking for candidates, a lot of the time we go on LinkedIn and we look for candidates too. So to have that exposure and to make sure you have that profile set up, that's the first thing I would do. If you don't have LinkedIn, is to go out today and set up, it's free. All you need is an email address, and I would do that today and set up your LinkedIn account and start to establish your profile out there. And you'd be surprised. You can type a company name and they'll tell you every employee in that company that's signed up with LinkedIn already. So if you want to work at GE, you type in GE and it'll bring up every person that works at GE. So those are some of the ideas that I have for LinkedIn. The second thing that you should be doing right now is an internship. Has anybody ever done an internship before? Has anybody ever done an unpaid internship before? If you've never done an internship, or if you've done them in the past, I would encourage you to continue to do that. Because again, internships develop that network that you're trying to establish. But in addition to that, that's very hands-on. These are people that you get to know on a lot more intimate level. You can, one, you start to develop skills, and that can go on your resume, that you've done an internship, especially at some very high-profile companies that offer internships. To have that on your resume is so important. And again, the hiring managers that we talk to, they want to see that, especially in entry-level jobs or people coming out of school. Well, what have they done? We understand they're not really in the workforce yet. They're just out of school. They haven't really focused. They don't even have a job in the field that they're focusing on yet. But they did intern here, or they had 2 or 3 or 4 interns at different companies, which means they know that you're learning team building skills. You're exercising some of the skills you learned in school in a real world platform. And that's so important, again, to these hiring managers and getting the experience that you want while you're still in school. And it's very appealing to these hiring managers. So that's something I would certainly look into on the, in addition to doing LinkedIn, is start to look at some intern programs. And then you have different sources. Where can you find out about internships? LinkedIn is a great way. Also, though, using your Facebook. Update your Facebook status and say, I'm really interested in doing an internship about X, Y, Z, whatever your focus is, and update your Facebook status. You'll be very surprised at the people that you know that actually may have internship opportunities in their office. They're getting emails from the department leads, or maybe they're the department lead themselves, and they may say, hey, you know what, actually, I do have an opportunity for an internship. So look into that, it's very important. And a lot of internships are paid too. So I don't know what everybody's doing, but if you had the opportunity to get paid to do something while you're not in school, why not it be something that's relevant to what you're studying to get the experience and get it on your resume now while you're working on your degree? The next thing, any questions about internships or LinkedIn? Everybody good? The question was, how would you find internships on LinkedIn? If you go in LinkedIn, there's different groups, and you can actually sort the groups by location, and you can look for groups where there are internship opportunities, 1. 2, all the contacts that you reach out to that accept your request, which most people will just accept it, because that's the idea of it. So you can also email everybody that you're connected with at that point, most of which are working for companies, that you're interested in doing an internship, and you'd be interested if they could send you some information about the internship opportunities. You're available, and then obviously there's a link right to your profile. And you'll get responses, because that's the whole point of LinkedIn, is networking.
Just to drop in another note regarding interns. When in doubt, just go to where it says jobs and search and just type in interns. So if you don't know what companies are looking, which companies you want to work for, and then you will get an entire list of every company that is offering internships, and then you're able to go to their links, see what the company does, if it's a company that you're interested in, the type of internship, and then you can go and follow up with them as well.
And just for the purposes of the camera, I don't know if they got all that. On LinkedIn, there is actually a jobs tab, and you can type in internship as a job title and search it, and then you can break it down by location, and you'll get a lot of results just there on anybody that's offering an internship and posting it on LinkedIn. The next thing I want to talk about is just right here at the school. I don't know if there's a career services center that you can go to, but they have opportunities for internships, always. But also, they may be able to help you with you're putting together a LinkedIn profile, maybe a cover letter class, maybe give you some tips on putting your resume together. So if there's a career center here at the school, visit it, talk to them about what you're looking to accomplish, because they'll really be able to assist you. That's the whole point of them being here. In addition to that, a lot of alumni come back to the school and they reach out to the Career Service Center and offer assistance. They offer opportunities. They offer mentorships. So it's really a great resource for you to take advantage of, especially at the school, because the whole idea is to really get you out there, and that helps the school and it helps you as well. And if you see and find success in that, who knows, down the road you may come back to the Career Service Center offering help to the next student coming through the school as well. So it's really important. The last thing I want to talk about is just how can you expand into other areas of networking offline. And to touch on it really quick, in the business community, there's so many opportunities to network. There's happy hours, there's dinners, there's awards, there's holiday parties, there's breakfasts, and we can go to something every day and spend the entire day out of the office just meeting with people who want to meet people. So if you go in through Google, there's so many different companies, so many different networking groups or industry-specific groups that you can become a part of and you can join. And a lot of these organizations have special rates for students to join. And that's the point, is to meet as many people as you can and let them know where you are in your career and where you are in your education, and go out and have a cup of coffee with these people and rub elbows with these people. Go to the party, go to the awards, go to the breakfasts. And a lot of the times, they're 30 minutes, they're 40 minutes. And 9 times out of 10, you don't even have to get anything. You can eat before you go in, you get a glass of water, you rub some elbows, you get a couple of business cards, and you do this once a week or once a month, and you'll get to meet some really great people in the business community. And if you have a specific focus, a lot of these networking groups are industry focused as well. And some of them have limits. Some of them will only allow one accountant, one real estate broker, one mortgage broker, one investment person, and so on. But some of them are industry specific, so they're all CPAs or they're all attorneys. And it doesn't matter. You want to rub elbows with these people. So I would certainly look into these networking groups that you can get involved in locally and start to attend. And again, the Career Service Center may have some information on that as well. And some of your professors may have some information on some networking groups that they belong to. Any questions about networking? What was the question? The networking groups? Every community has a networking group. There's a large networking, some of them are national networking groups. If you just put in professional networking in Google, you will come up with a whole bunch of lists. Also, if you go, LinkedIn's another great source. Going back through LinkedIn and go to groups and type in accountants networking group or business networking group, and you can sort it by location. It's very important. Robert, I don't know if you have any in particular. I don't want to promote any for-profit networking groups, so.
No, it's just finding out what area you're really interested in. You go online and just type it in, and you're going to get 15, 20 hits in your area, and then you can start narrowing down the search.
And you can really narrow it down, very, very specific. But business associations, on Long Island, we have the Long Island Association, we have the Hop Hog Industrial Association, the Advancements for Commerce and Industry. There's a group called Execuleaders, and there's so many, and it's so prevalent. And if you haven't heard of it, you wouldn't know this. So that's why I'm telling you, because I think it's really important joining some of these groups and really starting to rub elbows with people. Give them a call. One of the biggest things for me in networking and that I found is when you're networking with people and you're going to these functions, have you ever heard of the term, be interested, not interesting? When you go to networking groups, you've run into a lot of people that are really self-serving. They're there to sell you something, get customers. That's kind of the idea of why you're there, but you want to develop relationships too. You're going to go to develop relationships, to meet people, because ultimately you're selling yourself. That's what who you want to sell. But at the same time, you want to learn about people as well and develop those relationships. So your whole purpose of going to the networking group is just be interested. Just get to meet people and get to know people. Get on their radar. And then as things develop for you and your career moves forward, you have some people that either may be able to help you or maybe you can help them. So it's really about developing that relationship and calling up and saying, hey, let's get a cup of coffee. I want to sit down with you. What we were discussing the other night was very interesting. I want to learn a little bit more about how I might be able to help you. And make it about them. And it turns into a really great conversation. To finish it, to kind of wrap up, because I know Robert has probably about 4 minutes to speak, and I don't want to take up all his time. One thing that was touched on earlier was interview preparation. And some of you may be there where you're getting ready to start going out and interviewing. Some of you may not. I brought business cards. What we do is when we're matching candidates with our clients, it's so important that we prepare them for the interview process. And one thing that was touched on was creating that dialogue back and forth, bringing your own questions. Because in recruiting, and I have a really, really bad joke. I had about 4 of them, but I figured they were going to progressively get worse, so I'll just tell you the worst one now. But it really kind of relates to looking for a job and being recruited, and why it's so important to bring your own questions and do your research and do your due diligence, because you don't want to end up like this job seeker I'm going to tell you about in this joke here. So this job seeker dies and goes to heaven, so he thought. But when he gets there, he's sent down to the lobby, and they tell him, well, we're doing things different now. We're actually going to give you a choice. We're going to give you a tour of heaven, and we're going to give you a tour of hell, and you're going to make a decision on where you want to spend eternity. And job seeker says, oh, okay. It's kind of ridiculous, but I guess I'll go along. Well, go in the elevator and go up one floor and go take your tour of heaven. So the job seeker jumps in the elevator and goes up to the next floor, and doors open, and it's everything you can imagine heaven is. Rainbows and butterflies and music, and it's just beautiful. The job seeker says, man, why wouldn't I want to be here for eternity? This is everything I expected. It smells good, it looks good, it's beautiful, it's peaceful. I'm choosing heaven. I don't even need to take the tour of hell. Gets in the elevator, goes back to the lobby, says, I don't need to take the tour of hell. I know where I want to spend eternity. I want to go to heaven. And so, well, hold on. The requirement is you need to take the tour. So just take the elevator down one floor and take the tour of hell. Job seeker gets in the elevator, goes down, doors open up. Beach, sunshine, people are drinking, they're playing volleyball, music's playing, the surf is just right, the sun's just right, the temperature's just right. He says, where am I? Excuse me. Pull somebody aside. Where the hell am I? He goes, exactly, you're in hell. He says, wait a minute, how could this be hell? This is it. Is it like this every day? It's like this every day. Drink as much as you want. You won't be hungover. We're partying. Everybody looks good. The weather's right. The beach is right. The water's right. Every day. He says, wow. All right. Gets back in the elevator, goes back up to the lobby, and walks over and says, you know, I never thought I would say this. Send me to hell. For eternity, I'm going to hell. He says, all right, go ahead. Gets back in the elevator. Elevator goes down. The door's open. And who's standing there? It's Satan. It's fire and brimstone. And job seeker says, hold on a second, what's going on? I was just here 10 seconds ago. There was a beach, there was beer, everybody looked good. What's going on? Oh, that was recruiting. This is orientation. So if anybody has gone on an interview and heard all these wonderful things about a job, and then the job started and you felt like you were in a living hell, that happens way too often. And what it means is you didn't ask the right questions, you didn't do the due diligence. So I have a job prep that I put together and Robert put together that we send out to every single candidate, that in addition to you having to answer questions and have questions that you're prepared to respond to and have good responses, you need to also have your own set of questions and make sure you're getting the responses back that you want. Because if you end up in the wrong company, you're going to be in a living hell, and that's not a lot of fun, and now you have to go back and go through the process all over again. So it's important when you're going to go on a job interview that you have your questions and you know what you're looking for, and you have those specific requirements for yourself to take a job. Yep. Oh, absolutely. The question was, if you go on a job interview and the person interviewing you is usually writing down your answers, can you write down the answers to the questions you're asking? And nothing's better than when you're in an interview with somebody and they have their own pad with them and they're asking questions and you have a good dialogue. And a lot of times what happens is when you come with really strong questions, it becomes all about their answers and what they have to say, and they become very interesting. And that's the whole point. If you get them to be people like to talk about themselves. So if you get them talking about themselves and talking about the company, and they feel good about everything they're saying, and you leave, they feel pretty good about you too. So that's the whole point. You want to create that dialogue of interested and interesting, but if you can get them focused so on telling you what a straddle is, then you've done well, and they're going to like you, and they're going to like the way the conversation went, and they're going to want to hire you.
I have an internship at a accounting firm, and I'm just thinking a lot of numbers, and I'm looking at, I'm thinking, I want to work at this company, and I'm wondering during the interview, is it unprofessional to ask, what's their income for the year, what's their, expenses for...
Not at all. The question is, can you talk to a company that you're interviewing with about their financial stability. And that's really a question that now more than ever I get when I'm recruiting somebody, I'm sitting with a candidate, is what can you tell me about the company? Are they financially stable? I ask everyone, what are the three most important things when you're looking at a company, doing your evaluations of a company? The first answer I usually get is financial stability. Are they in the black? Are they financially healthy? Are they a public company? What's the stock performance? That type of question. So asking that question, but it's not as personal as you think, because they're looking to bring you in. So if you're doing your evaluation, I would present it as one of the most important things for me in evaluating an opportunity is the financial stability of the company. What can you tell me about the company's financial stability and performance over the last 5 years? And they should be able to answer that question with you, good or bad. They may talk to you about troubles the company had, and then at that point it's up to you if you're comfortable in moving forward with that, or maybe you have to do some more due diligence. But it's certainly a fair question. All right, we have another microphone here because me and Robert are actually going to do a quick duet. We're going to spread this out. I might do a split here. We'll wait till the end of the show, though. So, any more questions for me? I'm going to bring up Rob Guglielmo. He's going to talk to you about. I don't even know.
Hello. Oh, yeah. You don't need the mic for my voice. Yeah, Vic left me about 3 minutes, so it's like the Academy Awards where the music starts playing, so just turn it down, okay? One, thank you for having me. My name's Rob Guglielmo. I work with Vic at Greystone Staffing. I've been in the industry for too long, about 15 years, placing accounting and finance professionals. Interviewed thousands of candidates, good, bad, and ugly. I've met great companies and horrible companies. What Vic was talking about is what happens before you get the job. What I want to discuss with everyone is what happens after you get in. But just to touch on something that was said and let you know how different things really are from when I went to school and when you guys are here now, is my 5-year plan back then was how can we stretch out 4 years of college into 5 years of partying. So it's different. We didn't have anyone to really sit down with us and educate us on what you need to prepare for it when you get into the real world. Truth is, I went to college to play lacrosse. That was the only reason I went. All my friends were going to school. I said, I guess I should go as well. I had an accounting professor. His name was Mr. Gruber, or with the New York accent, we say Mr. Gruber. He was from North Carolina, and truth is, he didn't make things interesting. He didn't want to show us the true value of what he was teaching to make us want to learn that to then apply it. And when I graduated after 5 years, I realized I made a mistake. I should have been applying myself in school as opposed to the extracurricular activities. I should have been a sponge. I should have been learning what they were teaching me because I thought, they're just talking about things that I'm not going to use in everyday world. Truth is, I look back and I still kick myself to this day. So if I could stress one thing to you guys is don't make mistakes that other people have made if you can learn from them. And I'll tell you, if I could go back to school, I'd be an A student. I would have dropped all my extracurricular activities. I would have focused on how can I get ahead, because everyone sitting next to you is going to be essentially your competition. They're going to be interviewing for the same jobs. They're going to be wanting the same promotions. And if you were the guy that was sitting there wanting to be the most popular and not the one that's the most reliable, then there's going to be a situation. So really what I want to do is talk about when you do get your foot in the door in a company, what do you do? And like I said, you need to make an impact. It's not going to be a popularity contest. It's not going to be who goes out at happy hour and who has the most fun and who likes me the most. It's who's the most reliable person. Who's the one that asks me the most questions when I'm an employer? And when I hire a staff, I'm looking for someone that wants to go that extra mile. If you guys think that every job you're going to be going into is a 9-to-5 job, I promise you, you're going to find yourself looking, and you're going to have one of those resumes that has a job move every 2-3 years, if not sooner. And the people that are moving up in the company are the people that are asking the questions, that are showing up early to work, that are staying after work, that are asking, what else can I do? What special projects do you have? Now, you sit there and go, but I'm not paid for that. Truth is, you're not paid for it at that moment, but it'll pay off in dividends down the road. one with your existing organization, because they're going to see you as someone that's viable to them to help them achieve their goals. Every company has a business plan, and in that plan it's broken up, and it breaks it down to each individual within the organization. Every employee is part of that plan, and if you guys don't make yourself part of that plan, you're going to find yourselves on the outside. No task is too small. They ask you to do something, don't give them an attitude, don't give them a sigh, sit there and go, great. When do you need it done by? Let me get it done immediately. Because those are the people that we look for that will take it to the next level, that show that they care and they have interest of the business and the company at heart instead of what's in it for me. What's in it for you guys is a job, all right? It's a future. You guys don't do this and you just sit there and go, okay, great. Got to come in 9 o'clock like they told me. You show up at 5 to 9. That's not on time. Being 5 minutes early is not on time. All right? Being 15, 20 minutes early shows initiative. That's on time. If I tell someone to be at the office at 9, truth is I want them there at 8:30. But I don't want to have to tell them that. I want them to take that upon themselves and go, hey, I'm going to really prove to this guy that he made the right decision to hire me. So you guys really have to start thinking outside the boxes. What can I do to separate myself from everybody else? Because the person sitting next to you, trust me, they're on the chopping block if they're not doing their job and they're not asking that question. And you don't want to be the most popular guy at work or person at work. You want to be the one that's the most reliable, the one that they're going to go to, as we call it, the go-to person. If I have a small task, I'm not going to give it to someone that I don't think can handle it because they can't do anything else. I'm going to give it to my most important person because I know they're going to pay the closest attention to the smallest details. And you guys all have to start changing the way you think, that you're doing your employer a favor by showing up. Nowadays, there are so many people out there that are unemployed. They would love to have your job. And if you don't take that approach, you're going to find yourself out of a job. And I'm being brutally honest. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. In this world, I meet too many people haven't worked in 3 or 4 years. I ask them, what are you doing? Haven't found the right opportunity. The right opportunity is someone that's going to give you a chance. You know, oh, they're not paying the salary I want. Well, what are you earning now? 0. What new experiences are you getting from sitting at home, waiting for someone to knock on your door? Because they're not going to knock on your door. You have to knock down those doors. Sorry, I'm Italian, so I'll move my hands a lot. Marketability, that is a huge word to recruiters. How marketable are you as a candidate? What have you done to separate yourself? We post a job, we get 15, 20, 30 resumes. Most of them are overqualified. But the people that have the background we're looking for, we need to now look at each and every one in an interview and when we're talking to them. What makes this person more marketable than the next? And it's that guy that says, hey, they hired me as an AP manager, but they needed someone to come in and do inventory. So guess what? I volunteered for that. I came in on a Saturday, didn't get paid. Wow, that's great. I'm someone that they have some type of service that they provide to the community. I volunteered for that because that's networking. Now you're going to meet people in different areas of the corporation, and you're going to find yourself networking within your existing company. And then when you go to interview for another company, another opportunity, they're going to look at that. They're going to sit there and say, hey, it says you did inventory, but you were supposed to be doing AP. So yeah, well, I did that on the side when they needed it because they were shorthanded. And then also I see here that you did some volunteer work. Yeah, well, we work a lot with the community, and I know the company really believes in it, so I wanted to do whatever I can. These are the things that are going to make you guys stand out when you interview. But if you think, like I said, they're just going to go, hey, you have a degree? Great, come on board. That's not it anymore, because truth is, they'd rather hire someone that maybe has a few years that's going to take a pay cut. And they'll come and they'll do whatever they can. So you guys right now are in a tough situation. Get your internships, work for free, do whatever you can. Get involved in the community, start meeting people. Usually people who are doing a lot of type of community work are senior level people in management within corporations that you want to meet with and that you want to network with. And when they see you taking time out of your day to do that, they're going to think of you when you say, hey, by the way, I know you probably don't have anything, but I graduated with an accounting degree, I interned here. If anything opens up, they're going to look at you before they unfortunately call us. all right? Because that's what they want. They want people that they know. People hire people they like and respect. And that's a big thing, is when you go into work, like I said, you're going to go out on weekends or nighttime for happy hour. Do not take things to that next level. It's just like on Facebook where you have the pictures holding the beer or certain other things that are illegal. Employers, I hear, it's scary. They're looking and they're saying, what about this? And they may not mention it to you, but they looked you up. And they saw things that they wouldn't like and think, is he going to be the right representative of our company? And truth is, they're going to go, no, I'd rather find someone that put his nose into the book, sat there and volunteered his time, and then really wanted to show me that he had the right career path. Because you guys have to start mapping everything out now before you ever graduate. You know, a side note is, I sold cookware, china, crystal, tableware door to door in Florida when I was 18. And it wasn't cheap. It cost $1,100 for the package. And I thought, oh my God, how am I going to do this? And I sat there and I sat in the training class and I absorbed everything while everyone else was joking around and playing around and yeah. And let's say within a month I had 4 sales and I became the youngest manager because I kept asking more questions. How could I have done it more effectively? What could I have done differently to produce the results that you're looking for? And ultimately help me gain my goals, which is, at that time, earn as much money as possible. I didn't understand earning much money. That's good, but I want to gain experience. I want to build my background up, my experiences, my marketability. And we look for one thing. Can this person bring something to the table? Can I sell this candidate into my clients with things that he has done? When he's on a company position, in a company doing some type of job, what else has he done? Was he given new responsibilities, or was he the steady Eddie that just did enough just to get him by, collect his paycheck, and then go home? Because if you guys don't take accountability for what you're doing within the companies you're working for and how you present yourself, then you're going to have some issues. And that's another thing, is take a step back and put yourself in your employer, your manager's eyes. How am I perceived in that person's eyes? How do they see me? Because there's no one better when you look at yourself and you're all by yourself. You know who you are. And you should know if you're sarcastic, that comes across 10 times. If you're negative, 100 times. No one wants to hear negativity. Bite your tongue, sit there and smile, and deal with it. I cannot tell you enough. You have not earned the right to sit there and complain, to be confrontational, to sit there and disagree with your manager in front of the staff. You are to do it professionally. You take them aside. You say, may I speak to you? There was something that was said I'd like to address that I was a little concerned with, or I may not have agreed with. I respect that if someone pulls me aside and says, hey, could we talk? And I want to address my concerns. But if they do it in front of the group, that undermines me as a manager, and it builds negativity. And truth is, no one's going to look at you as a key team player, and it's all about being a team player. I know a lot of this, you guys say, yeah, I know, but take this to heart. Companies really are particular in who they hire, and they have a lot of people in a big candidate pool to choose from. You have to separate yourselves. You have to ask, what else can I do? You need to find out not only what is my job responsibility, but what is my boss's responsibility? What does he do? If I can better understand what he does, I'm able to then maybe jump in on a project when he needs help. Or if I have some free time, ask him, hey, Jim, is there something I can do and help you out? You know, I have some free time on my desk. I just completed this project, finished this report. What else can I do? And then if he goes, well, I'm not sure, I go, well, and you explain. I've been watching what you're doing. I'm asking a million questions. I'm becoming a sponge. I want to learn. And those are the greatest words an employer can hear is, I want to learn. Not, what time is lunch? What time do we have to stay till? Looking at the clock, falling asleep in meetings. I mean, these are things that I've seen on a daily basis with my employees. And truth is, I look at them as going, all right, that seat could be replaced very easily by somebody else that wants to be here. And you need to take that approach is, how do I separate myself from the person sitting next to me? Like I said, you're all friends. You're all going to start your professional careers. But if you're all accounting majors or business majors, you're going to find yourself going to the same companies. Now you got to start looking around going, well, what is Mary doing that I'm not doing maybe? What's going to make her get that job over me? And you have to start thinking like that. Because if you take the approach as I'm just going to go in there and everyone loved me at college and I was great, they laughed at me and they laughed with me. Depends on where you're at in the party, but you have to really start focusing on how am I perceived? How are they going to see me? And it's, you know, just a side note, when we're interviewing with a company, we call it mirroring the interviewer. If he's relaxed and has his feet on the desk, I promise you I've seen people that kick their feet up on the desk, loosen their tie up. You don't want to do that. You take it one step below that individual. If he's extremely corporate, professional, and reserved, you're extremely corporate, professional, reserved. That's not the time you want to break out a joke or, you know, just a snide comment or think you're going to be funny or humorous. They don't care about that. They're looking at what can you bring to the table. And it's going to be, if you don't have the experience, it's going to be your drive, your willingness to learn. All right? The opportunity just to get your foot in the door with the company now is so much that you can't just take it for granted. Prioritizing. Prioritize your day, prioritize your week, prioritize your life. Have a plan, your 5-year plan. Explain that to your employer. This is where I'd like to be. Can you help me get there? What else do I need to do to get to that next level? If I know that I'm a staff accountant right now, how can I become a senior accountant? Explain to him, that's what I want. How can I get there? He's going to then go, hey, Rob's really showing initiative. Let me go ahead and give him more responsibilities. He's showing up at 8:30 when everyone else is getting here at 5 to 9. He's staying till 5:30 because he knows his project's due tomorrow, and instead of him just rushing it or doing a half job, he's going to put in the time. He's going to bring the work home. And that's what stands out. But you have to be able to communicate with your employer, with your management team. And then you have to also network through the whole organization, because a lot of times you'll go to a company like an Estee Lauder, they have 15 different divisions: global, domestic, clinique, financial reporting, general accounting, SEC. You have to decide, hey, the more people I network with, the more opportunities I'm opening up with. So it's how you present yourself, how when they talk to your boss and go, hey, I met Rob Guglielmo the other day, go, oh, Rob's a great guy, he comes in early, he does extra work for me. Wow, really? Because I have a need in my department. Oh, you should definitely look at him for that. As opposed to, oh, Rob's a great guy, we bring him to all the parties, he tells the best jokes, he sits there, he can chug the most beer. That's not what they want to hear. They don't want to see you coming in late, hungover. They don't want you talking for 20 minutes at the water cooler, and they don't want negativity. You know, I said before, too many people are out there looking for work. You have to dedicate yourself. I remember when I was unemployed, I would do anything I could to get a job. And I mean, I'd step over people. I knew that if I had to downplay someone else's skills to sell mine, that's what I was going to do, because I needed to take that next step and find out what separates me from everybody else. And it goes into the interviewing process is, don't go into an interview just thinking you can wing it. All right? An interview is like doing a term paper. It's a ton of research. And then if you have to report that term paper in front of your staff, in front of your classmates, you have to go over it 15, 20 times. And that's just like an interview, is you need to have a list of 100 questions. All right? And if you have the answers to each one of those questions, and they ask only one, and you're prepared for it, you're ahead of the guy that thinks he could just come in and wing it, and, oh, I'll answer it just by the sake of answering it because I didn't want to prepare. The person who prepped me the best was about 12 years ago. She goes, Rob, I was already in recruiting. I wanted to leave and go to another firm. I thought I knew it all. She goes, Rob, let me ask you, what's your weakness? And I said, I don't have any. Worst answer in the world. She goes, all right, get a pen and paper. I'm going to go over a bunch of interview questions with you. And that's where Vic and I really took it to the next level. She went ahead and asked me 14 questions. And she said, how do you respond to each one of them? And then we worked on the answer. She goes, write it down. I was driving at the time. And I'm like, all right, let me pull over. And I wrote 6 pages of notes. And I promise you, I still have all 6 pages. And every interview I've ever gone on, I still pull out those questions and answers, and I study it like a test. And I promise you, you're going to get asked a lot of those questions. So if you want, you can email Vic or myself. We'll send that to you, because it gives you a list of 100 questions. And then we go over it with you, and we ask you the question, and we hear your response. And then we go, okay, that was good, but let's really focus on things that are important to them. So it's taking that exam, but studying for it more than the next guy. Does anyone have any questions regarding that, or anything we discussed so far? Yes, I can. It's, and I'll put out cards, but it's Robert G. at greystone.staffing.com. G-R-E-Y-S. I just learned they spell great twice. Greystone.com. G-R-E-Y. I'm sorry, it's greystonestaffing.com. See, I learned something new today. We're going to put that out to you, no problem. We have that in an email format that we can.
We'll have our cards up here also at the end if you want to take one. Just shoot one of us an email.
Any other questions anyone has?
How do you appear to an employer when you downplay someone else's skills to get ahead?
Well, that's a good question. You don't want to come across negative, but you want to come across as, especially, I did it when I knew who I was interviewing against, and I knew what they maybe didn't have. So I didn't bring up Jim Smith specifically, but I said, you know, I know some people that come in here may not have the accounting and finance background that I have. You know, they may have only done accounts payable where I've done accounts payable, accounts receivable, I've done bank reconciliations, I've done financial statements, I've gotten involved in all. So you don't want to come across negative, but you want to, and that's, like I said, it's a specific situation if you know where you're at, but you want to always highlight what your skills are, and you know, you can't worry about who you're competing against unless, like I said, you know, and it's the real world. You know their weaknesses or what people don't want to hear and what they do want to hear, and you want to make sure you're able to communicate that to them. Any other questions? The only thing I'm going to leave you guys with is dedicate your life to your future professional employment. And that means don't put aside your personal life by any means. You have to have the 50-50 balance. But understand, we measure you guys. We look at you when we interview you. And we're going to be sitting down with you guys in a few years. And we're going to sit there and talk about you and say, what did he bring to the table? What did she do that makes herself stand out? Or did she come in here and talk negatively about her employer? And that's a good thing we should definitely discuss is, you could work for Attila the Hun. You could work for the worst employer in the world. It could be written about it on the walls, in the newspapers, online. Never, 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 never talk negative about anything. Okay? It's always, I'm looking for a new opportunity. I'm looking to further my experience. It's what you're going to be able to get out of it, not what you didn't get. And I'll get to your question in a second, is never make a move for money. Never leave a company because you feel you're underpaid. Okay? Because as we discussed before, everyone's underpaid. I should earn twice as much. I tell my boss that in a joking manner, but truth is, they'll find someone that'll work for half as much. Do not ever use that as your motivating factor to leave. Do not come to a recruiter. Do not go to a potential employer and say, the reason I left was money. Because it shows you one thing. You are what we call a me person. Me, 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 me. What's in it for me? And I sit there and go, well, apparently not my company's well-being, not my business plan. All right? Because you're looking at it from your perspective. And that's why we always tell you no me questions in the interview. You do not talk money. You do not talk benefits until the very end of your interview process and they show interest in you. Because once you turn it around and start saying, what's in it for me? They go, there we go. And the switch goes right off. I promise you. Anyone says that to me in the first 10, 20 minutes, first meeting, second meeting, unless I show true interest in them, What good are they going to do me? If I'm more concerned about if I'm not paying them enough, are they going to leave me tomorrow? And trust me, everyone thinks they can go make more money tomorrow. And I can interview, I interview candidates and show you them that, let me tell you something, they made some grave mistakes because they went and took another position because it paid you $15,000 more. It's the worst work environment. They're only doing one job. There's no growth. The hours are worse. The benefits aren't good. But they just thought, I want more money. They're giving me more money. Peel the onion and see what else is there, because your motivating factor should be, I'm not growing anymore and able to learn. I think I've maxed out, and my boss would agree because it's a small company, and that I need to take it to that next step. Or, you know what, I may have had a child, I want to stay a little closer to home, the commute. That's fine. It's just about not being money motivated and showing that I'm willing to go to work and work 12, 14 hours, but it's not going to be because you're paying me X amounts, because I believe in what your value statement is and where the company wants to go, all right? And it falls in line with what my personal beliefs are, and that's very important. So you had a...
Curious, when you just dedicate yourself to like your profession, there was a quote that my old scoutmaster told me, there's a time for work and there's a time for play.
Without a doubt, and there's got to be a good balance. You don't want to burn yourself out. But just remember, people will take their professional and kind of incorporate it into their personal. And that's by networking. And some of the best friends I've made was through networking functions. And just doing something that didn't benefit me directly or financially, but then I got so much more out of it because I met someone that I wouldn't have met. And then they became part of my family, essentially. So I believe you definitely have to have a good balance. You do not want to be working 7 days a week and burning it at both ends, and then your family... and I think Vic could say it best is, you know, you don't want to wind up earning all this money so your wife can spend it with her next husband. Okay? Did I say that right? Okay. Any other questions? No, I just want to thank everyone. I wish everyone the best of luck. Like I said, you have our email address. Any questions come up, internships, we run a program, please shoot us an email. More than welcome to help. If you got companies you're interested in and you're not familiar with them, we'll do the research with you. We'll walk you through. If you got an interview and you're real nervous, call us up. We'll spend an hour with you at nighttime and prep you. All right? Because there's nothing better than me working with you guys now and then getting that call in 2 years that you're a senior accountant, all right, or you're working at ABC Corp, and then you want to give me a job order, okay? Because ultimately, it's about everyone working and networking, okay? I appreciate everyone's time. Thank you.
Thank you. You've given such amazing information. I wish you could say some more. I hope you all take the advice. It's so critical. It really, I mean, that's what these meetings are all about, is to prepare you for your future. And they basically said it all. So I hope you follow their advice. So if you have a little time and you want to come down and speak to them personally, please come up. And I want to thank you all for coming. And please let us give another round of applause to our speakers. They're great. They're great.